Hi everybody. Today I am going to take you on a journey to watch me building an Fiat 850 Sport Coupe from scratch. The starting point for this project is a so-called sculpture block. This is a special kind of foam, specially made for sculpting and making art. The car I am building this time for the customer is very special because it was his first car when he was young. So the car got a lot of sentimental value and good memories. First I am going to saw the sculpture block in half and draw an outline of the car on it. After that I am going to saw, cut, sand, and grind to put the block in shape, so it's looking more like a car. The Fiat 850 is a small rear engine, rear-wheel drive car manufactured and marketed by the Italian car manufacturer Fiat, from 1964 to 1973. Its technical design was an evolution of the successful Fiat 600. The internal name for the Fiat 600 development project was Project 100, and consequently, the internal Fiat codename for the 850 project was 100G. G was a follow-on of model designations for the 600 which ran from A to F. The engine of the 850 was based on that of the Fiat 600, but had its capacity increased to 843 cc. The 850 came in two versions: normal, standard, with 34 horsepower, 25 kilowatts, and super, with 37 horsepower, 27 kilowatts. The maximum speed was approximately 125 kilometers per hour, 78 miles per hour. While it was not a large step forward in technical development, it possessed a certain charm with its large rolling eyes and its short tail, in which the engine sat. As you can see, I cut of the roof, so I have better access to the interior. Because there will be real leather in it, wood trim, and real carpet. At this point I put Bondo in the interior to make everything smooth, and put some metal beams in the car, for extra rigidity. The Fiat 850 family included several body styles, sharing core technical components. But this time I am only going to talk about the coupe. The coupe was introduced in 1965 at the Geneva Motor Show, and had the original 843cc engine producing 47 horsepower, 35 kilowatts. The maximum speed at that time was 135 kilometers per hour, 84 miles per hour. Not bad for that time. And of course it was rear-wheel drive, and had the engine in the back. Besides its small displacement and horsepower, the car was very light, and the engine was happy to rev. So it was one fun car for the Italian backroads. At this time, I am making some doors from plastic, the front trunk, and the rear bonnet. All made of scrap materials. Now it's time for Bondo, and the first coat of paint. The paint color is moss green. And the interior is going to be brown leather. At the time of their introduction into the United States, the sedan, coupe and Spider were marketed with a reduced capacity, high compression 817cc, 50 cubic inches engine in order to beat US emissions regulations at the time, which applied only to engines equal to, or larger than 50 cubic inches. On this moment in the build, I am putting real cloth carpet in the car, and real leather for the shift boot, and e-brake boot. Now it's time for the dashboard. The dashboard I made from plastic, and the wood trim on the dash is real wood, just like the real car. In order to separate the sportier variants, coupe and Spider from the basic version, apart from the increase of engine performance, the equipment was also extended and adapted to the higher expectations. Both received sport seats, a sport steering wheel and round speedometer. The Spider even received a completely rearranged instrument panel. The front drum brakes were replaced with disc brakes, although drum brakes remained on the rear wheels. This moment I am making the seats, and rear bench. As base I use some foam, from an old yoga mat. The leather I am using looks really great. I think. Are you still watching this build? Please, leave a comment below, like, share this video, or subscribe. And don't forget to put your notifications on. In 1968, Fiat revised the successful Spider and Coupe again, and gave them an even stronger engine with 903 cc and 52 horsepower, 38 kilowatts. They were called Sport Spider and Sport Coupe, the car I am building at this moment. Now it's time for Bondo again, because I was not happy with the finish from the first time paint. And of course there going to be a lot of sanding. And making the rear piece of the engine compartment come off, so I have better access to the engine bay when I am building the engine. Production of the coupes ended in 1971, of the sedan in 1972, and of the Spiders in 1973, after altogether nearly 2.3 million models were sold worldwide, 140,000 of which were Spiders. Under the name Fiat 850, it was however further produced for some years in Spain, also in a 4-door variant. As a successor, the Fiat 127 was brought to the market in 1971, which combined the 903cc pushrod OHV engine with the Fiat 128 transmission and suspension components in a fashionable fast and later hatchback 2-door sedan. I am really loving the color combination. It's such a stylish Italian classic. They really put a lot of work in designing this car. In 1967, Road and Track called the Fiat 850 Coupe one of the handsomest, best balanced designs ever seen on a small car. Okay, let's make some real working lights for the Fiat. Spanish manufacturer Fiat also built the 850 into the 1970s. They also offered a 4-door saloon derivative in 2 different iterations. The Fiat 850 was also produced under the name Piran Fiat in Lovech, Bulgaria, on the basis of complete knockdown CKD kits between 1967 and 1971. As you can see, I am making the engine bay. Using some scrap materials for things like the engine coolant reservoir and fuel filler. And now it's time to build the engine. The material for the base of the engine is styrene. And of course when you talk about Fiat, you have to talk about Abarth. Abarth produced several tuned versions of the Berlina, Coupe, and Spider, with ever-increasing displacements. These belong to the OT series of Abarth cars, standing for Omologato Turismo or Touring Homologate, a name also used for a series of 2-seater competition cars built on the Simca 1000 floorpan. As you can see, the engine fits very nice. Now it's time to make some more detail on the engine and engine bay. Like V-belts, radiator, cooling fan, hoses, intake and exhaust manifold. The manifold I am making from real metal tubes. The Fiat Abarth OT 1000 Coupe and Spider, introduced in October 1965. Compared with the saloon version, the engine was a more powerful Tipo 202 producing 62 horsepower, 46 kilowatts, and 79 Newton-meters, 58 pound-feet of torque. Top speed was 155 kilometers per hour. 96 miles per hour for the Coupe and 160 kilometers per hour, 99 miles per hour for the Spider. The Coupe was facelifted in November 1968 concurrently with the regular Fiat 850 Coupe, receiving a full-width grille and twin round tail lamps. Of course this is not an Abarth version, but I wanted to add 1 Weber carburetor with stacks. Because in my humble opinion it looks better than the original filter box, and it gives the car more personality. Back to some history, the Fiat Abarth OTR 1000 Coupe, launched alongside the OT 1000 Coupe, and based on the 850 Coupe bodyshell as well. Its Type 200 engine had an all-new Abarth-designed cylinder head with valves arranged in AV instead of parallel, hence the R in the name, standing for radial. The combustion chambers were shaped as 2 spherical caps, one around each valve. There was an inlet duct per cylinder, each fed by 1 choke of the 2 twin Solex carburetors. Abarth claimed an output of 75 horsepower, 55 kilowatts, at 6,500 revolutions per minute and a top speed of 172 kilometers per hour, 107 miles per hour for the road version. The OTR was set apart from the OT 1000 Coupe by a rectangular front grille bearing the Abarth badge, needed for the front-mounted radiator. After the paint and adding some more details and rear tail lights, it's time for a quick polish, and after that the clear coat, to make it shiny. The Fiat Abarth OTS 1000 Coupe, introduced in April 1966. OTR 1000 body shell, but standard head OT 1000 engine with output up to 68 horsepower, 50 kilowatts, and top speed to 160 kilometers per hour, 99 miles per hour. It was FIA homologated in the GT class in 1966. Abarth later developed several modifications, including a new inlet manifold for two twin-choke Solex carburetors. This gave birth to the OTSS 1000 or OT 1000 SS. Both OTS and OTSS were restyled in November 1968 like the OT 1000. Now it's time to add some personal touches to the car. Like a parking disc, the license plates from that time, logos, and a newspaper from the early 70s, from the birth town of the owner. The Fiat Abarth OT 1300 Coupe, in November 1966 introduced. Visually identical to the OTR 1000 save for the widened 5.5-inch wheels, it used a bored-out Fiat 124 series engine displacing 1280 cc. The car also received a different carburetor and sharper cams, raising engine power to 75 horsepower, 55 kilowatts, at 6,000 revolutions per minute. Claimed top speed is 172 kilometers per hour, 107 miles per hour, the same as for the equally powerful OTR 1000, but thanks to the simpler engine the car was cheaper and more pliable as an everyday drive. Restyled in 1968 together with the 1.0-liter OTs. Still watching this video? Please give me feedback in the comments, like, share or subscribe when you are liking this kind of content. Now it's time to make the underside more realistic, adding subframes, an exhaust, drivetrain and springs and shock absorbers. Some little history again. The Fiat Abarth OT 2000 Coupe America. Introduced in February 1966, it was based on the 850 Coupe but powered by a powerful 2-liter engine. It differed visually from the 850 Coupe in having a barred grille between the headlights, a split front bumper flanking a spare wheel which projected forward below the grille, widened front and rear tracks and wings, and a vented front bonnet. The 1946cc twin-cam 4-cylinder produced 185 horsepower, 136 kilowatts, and could propel the car to 240 kilometers per hour, 149 miles per hour. 3 examples were ever produced. The trailing arms I build from styrene, and the springs and shock absorbers are from real metal. Even the strut braces are from real metal tubes. In the front trunk I have put in spare tire, battery block-off plate, and wrench and jack. The bumpers are made of styrene with chrome vinyl. And most of the trim pieces are from real polished metal or chrome look vinyl. The wheels I put on this pictures are temporarily, because I ordered and was waiting on some 3D printed wheels. You can buy them at Scale Car Dubs 118. The link is as always in the description. In the meanwhile I made some more details on the suspension and underside. And put the car in storage for a couple of days to harden the paint. After a couple of days, the wheels and tires have arrived. So let's test fit them, and paint them silver with a chrome lip. The wheels are original 14 inches steel look wheels, but just a little bit wider than stock, like an Abarth, for a more personal look. The wheels are ready for mounting, and the car is being brought to the shop by the hand-built Scania V8 with trailer. Now it's time to make the final details, and put the sticker on that the car is a one-off and specially made for this customer. I really like this build, and I hope you too. My Italian car passion from back in the days was triggered in this build, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I was almost thinking about to hold the car for myself. Because I really loved it. And in my humble opinion it was one of the best builds so far. The owner is really happy with the result, and I hope the car gets a nice place in the living room, so he can experience the car every day, and look at it with all the nice memories he have. I really hope you enjoyed this build video, and learned something more about the Fiat 850 Sport Coupe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share or subscribe.